Good Thursday evening, high school sports fans. Joe Gillaway with Lingelstown Gazette Sports live from the Orchard Street studio. And this is episode 30. Yes, 30 episodes now of our weekly podcast, Gazette Sports Chat, where we'll get to know participants from various realms of the high school sports world. The student athletes who play the games, the coaches who coach them, and others connected in different ways to the entire experience. We'll introduce you to tonight's guests in just a moment, as soon as we're done thanking those responsible for bringing you tonight's show, our Lingelstown Gazette Sports Platinum sponsors. And they are Rickabaz Electric, Payer Apparel, Ted's Bar and Grill, Freedom Financial Wealth Management, the Tire Mart, Team PA AAU Basketball, Tonino's Pizza, American Legion Post 272, Hoffman Ford, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Modern Imprint, Sam Hartley Decking, Crystal Bob at Howard Hanna Real Estate, and Underdog Sports Bar and Grill. Thank you to these great local businesses for their continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area student athletes. Let's talk about upcoming shows. We got a bunch, so bear with us here. We want to let you know the student athletes and the other shows that we'll have for you in the coming weeks. This Saturday, we're going to do our high school hoops recap show, Saturday rather than Sunday, because of Super Bowl. Saturday at 6 o'clock, we have Octoroar's Gene Lambert on as our guest coach. Then Monday, we have a girls basketball show. Ashley Berkheimer from Trinity, Sam Sembrot from Central Dauphin, Jess Hallbaker from State College, and Macy Yanoski from Mechanicsburg will be joining us. Then the following Saturday, the 15th, a boys basketball show. Elijah Cooper from Central Dauphin East, Tristan Crawford Jr. from Steel High, Khalif Turner from Milton Hershey, and Cam Sweeney from Hershey. And then we have the Hoops Recap Show every Sunday until the end of the season. And we're also going to do something special this year. On Sunday the 16th, which is 2 Sundays from now, we're going to pick some Mid-Penn Conference boys basketball all-stars. So we're going to have an all-star selection show starting at 7 o'clock. And we'll have guests Dan Sostek from Penn Live Patriot News and Christian Eby from the Carlisle Sentinel Cumberlink. And we're also working on a unified bocce show. I don't know if anybody knows what unified bocce is, but it's a great sport. It's not a sanctioned sport, but hopefully one day soon it will be. And there are it's Special Olympics is kind of a Special Olympics sport, and it allows young kids, student athletes who may otherwise not be able to play sports for their school to do so. So we'll get a date scheduled for that. So let's talk about who we have here tonight. On May 17th, 2023, the PIAA voted to begin sponsoring girls wrestling as an official or sanctioned sport, and girls wrestling was officially placed under PIAA jurisdiction on July 1st, 2023. Girls wrestling is now a PIAA sport at the high school and junior high levels. We at Lingelstown Gazette Sports aired a live show in the months leading up to that May of 2023 date with girls wrestlers from Cumberland Valley, Central Dauphin, Carlisle, and Camp Hill high schools joining us. We were able to expose our viewers to the sport in its infancy, but now we're excited for the opportunity to revisit things after the sport has become official. And to help us expose you, the viewer, to more about girls high school wrestling, I'm going to bring in our guest, Kallie Bauer from Mechanicsburg, Eva Cruz-Germain from Central Dauphin East, Alisha Hidalgo from Camp Hill, and Kylee Trostle from ELCO. And we're going to start with this. Eva, I think we still have some feedback here. Listen, we're not going to lose. We're going to get this fixed, okay? Is there anything on your microphone that maybe has to be changed to a different setting, or?
No, I don't think so.
What about, are you using a phone or a computer?
I ended up using my phone because my iPad wasn't working.
Okay. See, now I don't hear the feedback.
Okay, I think it was because it was sitting down.
The sound of silence. Okay, it sounds okay now. Oh, okay. Now it doesn't. But okay, we're going to move forward. So anyway, it took a long time to get this together, ladies. I was first contacted by Eva's coach. Is it Jen Olszewski?
Yes.
right? Yeah, back on December 9th. And she kind of, between the two of us, we kind of hatched a plan here to put this together. And it's taken a while. And I'm just so glad we can finally do it. So let's start with we'll lead with our only senior. Kallie, you're the only senior of the group. Talk about how you got your start in wrestling.
Whenever I was in 7th grade, my dad took me to a Penn State wrestling match, and that's when I kind of first fell in love with the sport. I became like a really big wrestling fan, but more specifically like a Penn State wrestling fan. But then for like a year or two, I always said, people would ask me, would you ever be interested in wrestling? And I always said, no, I'm just a fan. But then like come 9th grade, I found out that Cumberland Valley, the school right beside Mechanicsburg, had like a girls wrestling club. And I was like, I really do like wrestling, so I might as well give it a try. And I think it was like February 2022 was the first time I stepped on a mat, and since then I fell in love with it.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
But you've really started thinking about it 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You were in 7th grade, now you're in 12th. Great story. Okay, how about Eva? How did you get interested in wrestling?
I joined last year because I told my mom there was a girls wrestling team, and she told me to go out and try it. So I decided to. At first, I was really scared because I've never been in like any type of sport that involved contact, but then I eventually fell in love.
Good, nice. How about Alisha Hidalgo from Camp Hill?
I was a bad middle schooler. I was making some bad mistakes. So
Poor decisions, is that what you're talking about? Like
yeah,
poor
bad
decisions?
decisions, not
Okay.
good grades.
Okay.
I just wanted to keep my phone. I didn't want to keep getting my phone taken.
That's great.
So I just go up to my 6th grade science teacher, our head coach, and I said, "Hey, I just want to join wrestling." I thought it was like boxing. I'm gonna be honest.
Right.
I thought it was like boxing.
Just want to kick some butt, right?
Yeah. And he didn't believe me for a second. He was like, "No, you don't." I was like, "Yeah, I do." And
that's back when it was boys, though, right?
Yeah, only boys. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was in 8th grade, and never stopped.
It stuck, right? It just stuck.
We're stuck here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Good. So some good stories so far. How about you, Kylie?
My brother started when he was 6. I was 4, and then so my mom got annoyed with me, so she put me in it, and I started wrestling, and I really liked it, and I've been doing it ever since.
So basically, since you were 4, at some.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? 4 different stories, 4 different ways of getting here, but great stories, and it sounds like you guys all embrace the sport in your own ways, and I love hearing that. How about? Do you guys have any background in other sports? Did you used to play any other sports? Are you currently playing any other sports? Let's go back to Kallie.
Yeah, so I started playing softball when I was like, I think 8 years old, and softball was a sport I loved. I played like rec softball, I played travel softball, and I played all the way up till my sophomore year in high school, but that was the last year that I played softball because then folk style wrestling's in the winter, and then they do freestyle in the spring, and like obviously they do freestyle wrestling in college, so I decided, wrestling's the sport that I really want to pursue, so I ended my softball career, and last spring I did freestyle wrestling for the first time. But yeah, softball was my main passion for a really long time until wrestling kind of took over.
So it just took more of a commitment than you were able to give if you were playing other sports then, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how about Alisha? Or Eva, we'll go back to you. I'm sorry. Any other sports? Did you or you currently play any other ones?
I currently play lacrosse, and I started lacrosse when I was in 2nd grade.
And do you like lacrosse too?
Yes.
Is that seems like a kind of a rough sport too. Not as rough as wrestling, but can that get kind of physical?
I guess, but not really.
But you're not really allowed to be physical, but it gets that way every now and then, right?
No, it always gets like that though.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Alisha, how about you? Any other sports currently or prior to this?
I used to play soccer for a little bit. Well, it wasn't really my thing. I tried softball. Wasn't really my thing. I've just always stuck to wrestling. It's definitely something that has a special place in my heart.
Right. So you were kind of maybe built for wrestling, All right,
Yes,
Kylie, how about you?
Wrestling's always been my main sport, but I've tried things on the side. Nothing really stuck. I did softball for a few years, and then I recently started dabbling in skating, so that's been fun.
Okay, Kylie, I'm going to ask you to get closer to your microphone.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Say test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2.
Okay, I think that's a little bit better. All right, thank you. All right, so let's talk about the physical part, the physiological part of it. I guess it would actually kind of making weight, how to get to the right weight, the nutrition, the training. Kallie, you wrestle at 124, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least
Yep.
you are now. I'm sure it's been
Yeah.
at different weights. I'm just guessing here. I did do some research. Eva 136 currently.
Yes.
Okay, Alisha 148,
Yes, sir.
and Kylie 112, 118. A little bit of each of those. Okay. Let's start with Kylie this time. What kind of dedication to like physical training and nutrition does it take to be a wrestler?
It takes a lot of dedication. Like, if you're not wrestling 5 days a week, you're not really gonna like get any better because if you're not working, someone else out there is, and if you want to be the best, you're gonna have to work a lot harder than like your opponents. And then like with the nutrition, you gotta like eat really good so you can have like the energy to perform.
So it can't be like just junk food all the time, right?
No.
Okay. All right. How about Kallie? What about what is your, let's just say, what is your training routine outside of the season? Let's talk about.
Outside of the season, well, like last year, I kind of with my dad got more into like the strength training and like lifting weights. So typically, during the off season, I try to wrestle like 3, 4, 5 times a week, wherever I can get in a room, have a training partner, and then we usually lift like 3, 4 times a week. In season, it's more like on closer to like 1 to 2, just because wrestling practices in season are pretty hard and intense. And then I haven't always been much of a runner, but I know how important cardio is for wrestling, so I try to get out on runs 3 times a week, or even just in the gym on the treadmill.
Okay. And Alisha, how about you? Let's talk about Kallie talked about her off-season routine as far as training. What about your in-season? Since you're doing so much, practicing and like on the mat and whatnot, you still have to do all kinds of training stuff?
Yes, me especially. We have this very hard practice head coach, and we usually practice 6 times a week, usually on Saturdays. But it slows down like when the season comes in because of all the tournaments on Saturdays. I just sometimes I just don't think about it. I just can't wait to get there and just push myself to like my limit because that's what I'm there to do. And kind of like what Kylee and Kallie are saying, like it's making yourself better than your opponent, which I think is the most important part.
So you embrace it then, right?
Oh yeah.
Rather than fight it, you embrace it. Kind of
That's
makes
what I'm here
everything
for.
easier. Yeah, exactly. It makes things easier when. Okay, Eva. Before I ask you the same question here, when it's not your turn, when I'm not asking you, and I'm not trying to be tough on you. We just want to get. Would you be able to mute your volume once? Try to mute it right now. Wow. Did it go away? Yeah. Okay. Would you mind doing that when it's not your turn?
Yes.
Now, when it's your turn, I don't care if we get a little scratchy and whatnot, because we're going to get through this, and I'm glad to have you here. So let's get back to the nutrition piece. What kind of do you wrestle better? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more prepared when you're eating well?
Yes, I think the whole eating a lot of junk food and stuff doesn't do a lot for us. Especially like last year during our first year, a lot of us girls would after weigh-ins we would eat a lot of junk food and stuff, and it would show how we would wrestle on the mat. So this year we decided to do it different and taking all the nutrition, all the protein.
And you feel different results?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably 3 times your age, and I still, it's the same way for me. I don't work out that much. I exercise regularly, but I always feel better. It's always easier for me to do anything physical when I'm eating well. So, and it's important that those at home, and if there's any like younger, wrestlers watching this, that they know that it's more than just jumping on a mat every day and wrestling around for a while. Okay, so 5/17, May 17th, 2023, was when girls high school wrestling was essentially legitimized. Okay. It went from a club sport, I think they called it a club sport, to a sanctioned sport, an official sport. And I think 3 of you wrestled before that. Raise your hand if you didn't wrestle, if you didn't.
Oh, didn't.
Okay, so y'all did. Y'all wrestled one. Oh, you didn't. I thought so. Yeah, you got into it, Eva, right around the time that it became sanctioned, right? How big of a deal was that for you guys when that became? Let's just call it. I don't want to say a real sport, but a legitimized, recognized PIAA sport. Was that kind of like a really big deal? Just anybody jump in. Eva, you could turn your volume on too. Anybody want to take that one?
I think it was a lot. It was like, for me, it was really like a eye-opening moment because we wrestle and we work just as hard as the boys, but the boys got all the credit and we're putting in just as much work and working just as hard, and we're not getting enough credit and value that they are. And I think that just getting the treatment that we do now, and that people are seeing us and valuing us just as much as they are the boys, is honestly, it feels really good because we're getting recognized, and so are they, just because we're putting in just as much work. I think everybody deserves to get all the credit because we all work just as hard as the boys do. So I think we should have got recognized earlier, but I'm just glad that we do now.
And you're a pioneer. I mean, you really are. You're truly a pioneer. You can look back, 20 years from now and say, I was there when that started.
Yeah.
I was one of the first. So, how about you, Kallie? Was it a big deal when you became sanctioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a big deal. I know a lot of work and dedication from a lot of different people all around the state went into finally getting it sanctioned. I know for me at Mechanicsburg, whenever I wrestled my first year, I was the only girl, and even just with Mechanicsburg wrestling, I was one of the only girls that ever actually finished out an entire season. So, and we didn't have a girls team at our school. We didn't make it approved. So I didn't know once it comes sanctioned, how that would work, since I was kind of rostered on the boys team. And then now our school has to, go out to the PAA and say, yes, we have a girls wrestling team. And since then, it's kind of been hard at Mechanicsburg to build a girls team. Last year we only had 2 girls, this year only have 4. So it's it's not picking up the popularity at Mechanicsburg at maybe it is at other schools, but it's still a good foundation that it's a PIAA recognized sport, and I'm super excited to be part of it.
Well, then you two are truly a pioneer, because I looked at your team photo earlier today, and I just saw the 4 of you out front. You guys are in the front row, and all the boys are in the back.
All the boys, yeah.
And I'm like, my God, they don't have many. And the thing about that is, Cumberland Valley 2 years ago, before the sport was even sanctioned, they had 52 girls that wrestled. I mean, you talk about a program that was ready, ready when they changed it over to sanction. They were prepared. How about you, Alisha?
Oh man, I was jumping up and down with happiness. I was so sick and tired of wrestling boys. I was done.
Were you tired of it?
I went 1-7 my first year. It was bad. It was bad.
So that's kind of what I figured, that you guys kind of felt joy,
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the same thing to you too, and to you, Eva, even though that you weren't wrestling before, you guys are pioneers, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Your story is going to be, Alisha, I had to wrestle boys because there's nobody else to wrestle. They were kicking my butt. I knew if I had a chance to wrestle girls, I was going to be able to kick their butt, and I had to work through it. I had to wait, and I had to work through it and fight through it, and you were able to do that. So that's a great story. How about a typical practice? Eva, let's start with you. What's a typical wrestling practice?
First we start off laying out the mats because we have to go to the middle school to wrestle, and then we clean.
Which for you is right up the street, though, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, east middle. Yep.
Yep, and then we clean the mats, and then everyone puts on their shoes, and then we get ready, and then we warm up for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we start to drill, and then eventually at the end we go live.
Okay. So you guys have to do everything. You have to take care of the mats, roll them out, clean them, basically beginning to end. It's all you guys. It's all you and your teammates, right?
Yep.
Okay, Kallie, how about you? Do you guys wrestle? I guess you have to practice with the boys, right? Since you only have 4 girls.
Yeah, we practice with the boys. So practice starts around 3:45. Most days our coach has us go out either like through the neighborhoods, like around our school, or around the track. We usually have to run like anywhere from like half a mile to a mile. Just depends what he's feeling for that day. We come back in, get changed over, put our shoes on, do like some little warm-up things, somersaults, cartwheels, just get our body loose. And then we usually will go into a little bit of drilling. Some days are heavier in drilling than others. Some days it's more technique. Just depends, like, if we just had a tournament and there's technique we need to work on, or if guys need to lose weight, we might do a little more drilling. And then towards the end, sometimes we'll do situational live. We'll do groups of 3 live matches, or he'll say pick a partner and you're going to go 6-minute match. Just depends each day.
Okay, and Kylie, did you have practice today?
I did.
Let's talk about an actual practice. What'd you guys do today? What'd you do today?
So I had like a club practice today, but our usual girls practice is so like sometimes we'll start in the boys' room, even though there's a lot of girls.
How many girls do you have? I'm sorry to interrupt on your team.
I think we have 25.
So you have one of the smallest schools around, and you have 25 girls wrestlers.
Yeah.
Kylie has one of the bigger schools around, and you have 4.
Yep.
I guess it grows the way it's supposed to grow organically. You can't go out and pick student athletes off trees, of course. So go ahead, Kylie. So what'd you guys do today? I'm sorry.
Well, I went to a club practice today, but I went to like our normal girls practice. We'll start by like sometimes we start in the boys' room. Sometimes we'll start behind like the curtain. And like we'll either start in the boys' room and then we'll just warm up with them and then go roll out mats behind the curtain. And then we'll start by drilling and we'll go over moves and we'll do our basics. Like we'll do our basics, then we'll go over new moves. And then after that we'll go live.
Okay. And I'm going to stand corrected. Kylie goes to ELCO, Eastern Lebanon County. That is not one of the smaller schools around, but it's not as big as Mechanicsburg. I was kind of referring to Camp Hill. So I will ask you that, Alisha. How many girls do you have on your team?
So in the varsity, we have 8 girls. Some are injured and some just didn't choose to wrestle varsity. So about like 6 or 8. But the junior high level is like 12, 18. So
okay. So it's growing.
It's growing. It's getting there. Yeah.
And what did you do at practice today?
Today.
You said it wasn't overly enjoyable, right?
It wasn't. We did our usual warm up, which is like a 20-minute warm up. We we go to our elementary school and pull mats because there's so many of us. And we did skipping, we did like the somersaults and the forward rolls. And then we got our partners, we did drilling for about 30 to 45 minutes. There was no college guys to do technique today, so we just jumped right into live. And we did live for about an hour. It wasn't like all 6 minutes. We did like 4 6-minute matches. Then we did 1-1-1s, 30-30-30s, did some 5-second matches. It's just like to get like that like overtime feeling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then we did heavy conditioning. That's
okay.
it. Really.
What is heavy conditioning?
So a full sprint is going back into the wall. So we went up to 4 and we repeated like 2 or 3 of the other ones. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry if these are boring questions. What I try to anticipate is that there may be viewers, there may be people at home that don't know these things, especially since it's wrestling. I mean,
yeah,
so many people watch football or basketball, or you really don't have to break those sports down, as much as wrestling. But I want them to know what you guys do and the dedication, the level of dedication you guys have. Okay, so different types of events. Now, I do this for a living. I cover high school sports for a living, but some of these terms are somewhat foreign to me. I've heard them before, but I don't know exactly what they are. A head-to-head meet, that's just 2 teams. Is that right, Eva? Do they use that term, or do you guys have no head-to-heads in high school?
My coaches, we don't really use that term.
So what is it called if just two teams Is that a duel?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that a dual meet is what? Just 2 teams?
Yep.
Okay, so let's move to Kylie. What is an invitational?
It's like a tournament that your team gets invited to.
But there could be a bunch of teams
Yeah.
participating, right?
Hmm.
Okay. And how about okay, here's a good one. Kallie, what are regionals?
So regionals would be like, well, at least for District 3, so you would go through the sectional tournament, and then you'd have to qualify there to go to regionals. And since like District 3 is so big, we're our own region, so like we're the South Central region, and then that's the tournament you got to place at to qualify for states.
Okay, so you go from regular season, which we're probably just at the end of regular season now, right? Is that correct? To sectionals to regionals,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, to states, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with let's go back to Alisha. What's your biggest moment in wrestling?
My biggest moment?
Like the one that when you lay your head in the pillow tonight, you get a big smile on your face thinking about this.
It was we were wrestling Upper Perkiomen on a Saturday, and the girl I was wrestling was she was ranked in her district. She was like ranked really high, and I remember I was like nervous. I was pacing back and forth. I was in our drilling room at the high school, and I was scared out of my mind, and I just went on that mat and I beat her, and I just stared in the ceiling, and I was just feeling all types of emotions. I was tired, I was sad, I was happy, I was everything at the same moment. It was great.
Yeah, you're lit up like a bulb right now just talking about it. That's great. And it's okay to be afraid. You know, it's okay to be afraid because that's just an emotion, you know. And sometimes that motivates us for sure. Eva, how about you? Do you have a moment that you can kind of think back about that really brought you a lot of joy or satisfaction?
I was talking about my first pin. We had went to a holiday tournament, I believe, last year, and before like my match, my coach, she could tell that we were all nervous and we weren't performing right, so she gave us like a big speech and just wanted us to get in our heads. And then I went out there and I didn't think I would be able, like I was gonna be able to pin the girl, and then I got it, and then I just started jumping up and down and then went and hugged my coaches.
That's great. That's awesome. How about you, Kylie? Great. One of your best moments in wrestling.
I would say one of my favorite moments was winning regionals. I would say that was one of my proudest moments because I was a freshman last year and like I won regionals, and I was not expecting to do that, but like I don't know, it was like really exciting for me.
That's exciting just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Anything you could do as a freshman. I mean, freshmen are 14, 15 years old. You're going up against seniors who are 17 or 18. Yeah. There's a lot of development time, physical development time from 14 to 17 or 18. So I'm always impressed. Again, I do this every day for a living, but when I see freshmen, especially competing at that level with the juniors and the seniors, that's really impressive. How about you, Kallie?
I think it was last year at sectionals in my semifinals match. I was wrestling a girl from Cumberland Valley who I had lost to previously at a previous tournament. And at that tournament, I lost to her 9-0, but here I ended up wrestling her in the sectional semifinals. And something about sectionals that was like even more special for me is that it was at my home gym. So there was like that added pressure. So I went up against her and I ended up beating her 4-3. And I remember being so excited. I mean, it was a battle. It was a really tough win, but I was so excited that I won. I wound up in the sectional finals at my home gym, ended up going on and winning the tournament, and that was a pretty special moment too.
That's wonderful. That's a great story, especially when you lose 9-0 to a wrestler. And it probably wasn't all that much later that you went back and you beat her.
It was like 2 weeks later.
Wow, that's incredible.
I her again.
So, Kallie, I have written down that your big achievements. Last year, the 23-24 sectional and regional champion. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then this year, a Mid-Penn Conference All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations for
Thank
that.
you.
Alisha, 23-24, which of course is last year. 5th in sectionals, 6th in regionals, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And Kylie, drum roll, please. 23-24, 5th in the state of Pennsylvania as a freshman. You just mentioned that, I think. I don't know. But that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. So let's kind of switch gears here. And I talked to a couple of you about this before we before we went live, let's talk a little bit about, you guys are student athletes. And whenever I refer to the people that I spend my time with in an interview, I always call you student athletes because you have to be students first. Kylie, let's talk about your dedication to your classwork, your studies.
So it's like really hard. Time management is really difficult during the season, but you always got to make time. Like, so if you have a double practice, like you have practice, I try to make time either after my second one or like in between. So sometimes
While we're learning terminology, what is a double practice?
it's one where you have one, like you have your school practice and then you have like another one after.
Ouch. That sounds painful. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to know that, but I'm sure there's people at home going double practice. So on the nights that you have a double practice, that makes it more difficult probably to get all your classwork in.
Yeah, it always seems like you have more homework on those nights.
Wow, it just works out that way.
Yeah, and then I try to make sure I make time because keeping up with your grades can be really difficult during like the season, especially wrestling season. Like you're tired and you don't feel like doing anything and you're stressed out because you had practice. But like I always try to make time and my parents are really helpful with it. So they'll sit down, they'll help me if I need help. And
it's going to pay off down the road, that's for sure, because you're going to have to make time. We'll get into whether you're going to go to college or not, but I'm kind of feeling like you might be. You're going to have to learn how to make time in college, that's for sure. And you won't have your parents around except for, on the phone and stuff like that. But you can't just walk into the living room and say, Mom, I need help. So this is the time to learn that stuff. So that's good. How about you, Kallie? What's the importance of your classwork, your studies in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think our first priority, we're going to school to get an education. So that sometimes it's hard because like you feel like sometimes wrestling has to come first, but you got to know in the back of your mind that your education is important too. Mm-hmm. And like Kylie said, time management is super important. I just try to utilize like times at school, like study halls to get homework done. And like I'm the type of person, so we get out of school at 2:45 and practice doesn't start at 3:45. So I would always sit in the wrestling room and like be doing my homework in that hour, getting as much done as I could. Well, now that I'm a senior, I only have 2 classes a day, so I have a lot more free time than I did like when I was an underclassman. But I think, like she said, time management's probably the most important part of being able to.
You earned your free time. You got it all done earlier in your high school career.
Yeah.
Okay, Alisha, I'm interested in hearing your story because you said you weren't setting the world on fire back in junior high or middle school, right?
Something like that.
Have things transformed for you? Have you improved your dedication to your classwork?
I went from a 1.7 GPA to a 3.5.
Oh, wow.
So I've definitely been putting in the work.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Do you enjoy doing the classwork, or is it just something that you have to do?
No.
You don't enjoy it, right? That. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would. But I bet you enjoy seeing a 3.5 on your report card, though, don't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
But I take a lot of online classes, like because of my major that I want to major in. So I take a lot of like engineering classes and intro to business. So those definitely really help. And I also still have my core classes and my electives.
Okay, good. Eva, how about you? How is your schoolwork? How does that fit in, and does it rank with everything else?
My time management, I think, is pretty good because I try to get all my work done in class, or I'll take it to lunch and I'll finish it, or even before matches or tournaments, I'll try to get all my work done just so I don't have to stress about it.
Okay. All right, we're going to stick with you, Eva, because we're going to talk about coaches. All right. And it was your coach, Jen Olszewski, who reached out to me back on December 9th and said, how about doing a show with girls wrestling? And she really didn't have to nudge me too hard. I thought it was a great idea. I had already thought about doing it, truth be told. But, I want to thank Coach Olszewski because she's the one that kind of pushed me to getting all this together. But tell everybody a little bit about Coach Olszewski and how she's instrumental, influential in your life.
We call her Coach Jen because a lot of us can't really pronounce the last name.
Did I get it right though? I hope I did. Olszewski?
Yep, we call her Coach Jen.
All right.
Coach Jen has really impacted our lives. She's always tried to be there for us, especially during the summertime and through like the rest of this year, because during the summertime she made sure we would go to workouts and she didn't care if she had to redo her schedule or anything. She just wanted us to put in the time in the work, and she's always there for us. She'll always make sure that we can make time for whatever we need to.
Okay. Well, you make sure you tell her I said hello.
Okay.
If she's not watching, I think she might be, but I just want to thank her again for helping us get this all put together. Kylie, Coach Chad Miller, is that your coach? Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about Coach Miller.
He's really supportive and nice. Like, you'll come off the mat and you'll lose a match and he'll immediately be in your corner. And at the time, it doesn't seem like you really want him to be there, but he'll always stand there. He'll help you, and he'll try to help you and give you advice. And like, at the time, you're like, oh man, like I just lost. Like, I don't want to.
Get away from me.
But like, at the end of the day, he's just trying to help, and he's really nice, and he'll always be in your corner, and he's always positive and trying to help.
Wonderful. Okay. And how about Kallie? I think your coach is Dave Heckert, who's also the boys wrestling coach. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Coach
And the football coach too. Let's
Yeah,
just
and he
mention
does
that
football.
great football season.
Mhm.
Tell us about Coach Dave Heckert.
Yeah, so Coach Heckert, he was at Cumberland Valley for coaching wrestling over there for like over 20 years. But then actually, like, whenever my first like year of wrestling when I was a sophomore was his first year coaching at Mechanicsburg. And of course, like, I was nervous going into it, but he really like helped me like, feel included in the room, like as a part of the team, even though like I was the only girl. And I think another great thing that he's done is he's brought in some like a great assistant coaches. So like Coach Bressler, Coach Bustler, and Coach Peretta. They're all great coaches, and like them four, they just make like a great coaching staff. And I think with Coach Heckard, like he really has taught me like the discipline that comes with wrestling, and just the mentality, the attitude you have to have. And I think that's the biggest thing that he's taught me and helped me with. And I'm really lucky to have him and the other three as my coaches.
Yeah, your school is fortunate to have Coach Heckert. He does a lot there, and he's been very successful just in the short time that he's been there.
Yeah, with the football too. Everyone loves him. He's a great guy.
Didn't take him long to get things turned around there, did it?
Not at all.
Yeah, what a
storybook
storybook season there for your football team. How about you, Alisha Hidalgo? Let's talk a little bit about your coach. Is it Chet Gallagher or Gallagher?
Gallagher.
Gallagher. I thought it was Gallagher. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Coach Actually, Noah Doy, your teammate. Do you consider the boys your teammates?
Yeah, we practice with them, so yeah.
He told me about Coach Gallagher before because I had him on this show a few months ago, but I'm going to get your perspective.
He's a great guy. He's just a ball of energy. For how old he is, he can move. He's a great guy. I didn't have a practice partner last year because my practice partner was injured, and he came in every day and practiced with me as many times as I needed him to.
That's awesome.
He's always been supportive. He always gives great advice. He's overwhelmingly a great guy. With all of our other coaching staff, he's definitely my favorite. But don't tell anybody I said that.
Good. Yeah, nobody's going to know. Except for, let's see how many people are watching right now, except for these 90 people. And then the hundreds that'll watch it later tonight and later, Okay. Okay. Who wants to, by show of hands, who's going to go to college? Who wants to go to college? Okay. Anybody want to wrestle in college? Okay. So we got 3. Okay. 4. And I'm going to take the time to talk about that. Has anybody selected a school yet? I know we only have one senior here. No?
No.
Nobody? Let's just say, Kallie, what are you looking for in a college? Do you have any like boxes that need checked?
Yeah, well, I've toured a couple colleges. I've met with a couple wrestling coaches at McDaniel, Wilkes, Delaware Valley, and then York College. And I just think like when I was first like searching for a team, things I was looking for is I just wanted like a more established program because like I know girls wrestling at the collegiate level is still pretty new. I know now just became an NCAA sport, which is pretty cool.
How recently?
Yeah. But most teams are still like on the growing stages, but I was looking for like a more established program, which like Delaware Valley and York kind of had. And then for me, I was just looking for a room that would have a lot of good practice partners for me, just one that would help me grow as a wrestler. And then just I also like looked in the colleges with like my major and just, I want to go in accounting and business, and I was looking for a place that could give me the opportunity to get like my master's. So that was like a big influence too. But then I also was looking for the wrestling aspect.
Well, I wish you well in your search. And I'm going to stop there because I know the rest of you are juniors and a sophomore, and I don't like to put that pressure on you. Okay. I don't want to ask you something that I don't think you have to rush into, is basically what I'm saying. Take your time, talk to people you trust, talk to people that made those same decisions before you. And I think you'll figure it out. Usually it'll come to you eventually. So, okay, now we're really going to shift gears. Let's talk about outside of school and wrestling. Hobbies, pastimes, ways you like to spend your time when you're not doing those things. How about you, Eva?
Some hobbies that I have. Well, I don't really have hobbies, but I'm involved with school activities. So I'm like class president. So I try to help out with a lot of things around school. I like to be outside, especially in the summertime with the nice weather.
You are class president, huh?
Yeah.
Why are the student athletes always the best students in the school too? I mean, I'm sure not always. If anybody's watching that's not an athlete, but just a student, I don't mean any disrespect, but I find that a lot of the student athletes are great, members of their schools, and so that's great to hear that, Eva, that you're the class president. How about Alisha? What do you do when you're not wrestling?
When I'm not wrestling, I usually like to spend my time doing Key Club and Minithon because those are my big part-time clubs. Or usually I'm writing poetry, but most of the time I like to spend time with the little kids for Wrestle for Fun. They make my day. I'm not really a kids person, but I just love seeing like them running and wrestling. It's like that's the future right
Well,
there.
you're kind of a kids person then. If you get a kick out of spending time with kids and watching that,
They're growing on me.
Right. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's go down to Kylie. What do you like to do when you're not wrestling or in school?
I like to hang out with my friends and just like I like to just do a lot of things that like involve wrestling but aren't wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So like I like running. Sometimes I'll just go lift for fun. I don't know.
Lift for fun. Look at Alicia's smiling over there. She don't think that's fun, Alisha?
I mean, do you, boo?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go back. Let's get back to Kylie.
But yeah, I like cooking. So,
Oh, do you? Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Now let me just ask you this: which kind of do you have like one or two dishes that you're best at that you like to prepare?
I like pot pie.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Kallie, how about you?
For me, I also like to lift and run, and then I also enjoy camping, spending time outdoors. I go deer hunting with my dad every fall in October, November. I also like to go fishing, and then I read a lot, and then other than that, I do also like to cook and bake, but like it's kind of hard in wrestling season to do a lot of baking because it's then you're tempted to eat it, and then it's like, oh, am I going to make weight or not?
Well, you are four very well-rounded young ladies. I can tell you that. They were great answers. Okay, so we're going to kind of wrap things up here. First, before we move on, one of our sponsors is Payor Apparel, and they do sports apparel. And the owner of Payor, Larry Bragg, he donates a T-shirt to all of our guests. So I'm going to get your T-shirt sizes. Eva, what's your male T-shirt size?
A medium.
Okay. Let's go medium. Kallie, how about you?
A small.
All right. Alisha?
Medium will do.
Okay. And Kylie?
Small.
All right. Next thing we're going to do is what we call keeping it light. Anybody ever hear keeping it light? I didn't think so. That's okay. Why would you? Keeping it light, we're going to ask you some questions that have nothing to do with any of the stuff we just talked about. Nothing to do with classwork, wrestling, any of that stuff. Just to let the viewers at home get a chance to learn a little bit more about you guys as people, as girls, young ladies. So Eva, you want to go first? You ready?
Yes.
Ready for the hot seat?
Sure.
All right. Let's ask you favorite musical artist. You have one right now that you like the most? One or two, maybe?
Frank Ocean.
Frank Ocean. What do you like about Frank Ocean?
His music is just nice to hear. It's the vibe and like I don't know. It's just very nice, especially in the summertime.
Like the message in his music?
Yes.
Okay, I can see you like Frank Ocean. You got a big smile on your face. All right, so let's go up to Alisha. Different question now. Alisha, do you have a favorite television show? Maybe a series that you like that you've binged before, or you'll go back to over and over sometimes?
Family Guy, The Simpsons, great classics right there.
Really? They're old.
Oh, yeah.
That's you must be an old soul, they call that, because I think The Simpsons has been around for 25, 30 years, and Family Guy close to that.
Yeah.
You just can never get tired of them, right?
No,
Yeah,
never.
I have a couple shows that way. Like if I'm channel surfing and they come on and they're there, I go, I have to watch that, I can't pass through it. Okay. How about Kallie? Do you have a favorite meal?
That's a hard one. I think for me, I really like subs, like especially from like Sheetz or Subway. I mean, like that's just like a go-to, after tournaments especially. I mean, that's just the one thing that I want to have is like a turkey sub.
Right. That's good. Yeah. All right. And Kylie, let's go. Do you like sweets?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Favorite dessert?
Ooh, that's hard.
Or a favorite dessert, one that you like.
Probably like chocolate cake or ice cream.
How about chocolate cake with ice cream? A la mode. You ever had it that way?
Good.
Okay. All right. And this is a two-part question. Favorite candy?
Probably Skittles.
Skittles. Okay. That's two Skittles we had the last show we did. Skittles was one of the answers. Okay. All right. So let's go around one more time here. And let's go Eva again. All-time favorite athlete, any sport, any level.
I would go with Kennedy Blades.
And who? Kennedy Blake?
Blades.
Blade. Who is Kennedy Blade?
He's a wrestler.
Oh, okay. All right. Is he current wrestler?
She's a girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kennedy. I'm sorry. I'm learning something here tonight. I'm so sorry that I didn't know who she was. Where does she wrestle?
Currently she's at Iowa.
Okay. I'm sure they have a really good program, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to Kylie and all-time favorites. Do you have a favorite sports team? Do you like sports outside of wrestling?
Yeah. That's hard. I don't know.
Okay. Well, then we're going to move on to a different one. Keeping it light's supposed to be light. Okay. I don't want you to be pressured. How about, do you have any pets?
I do.
What do you have?
I have a dog and a lizard.
A dog and a lizard. What's the dog's name?
Willow.
Willow. What kind of dog?
She's an African Boer.
Okay. And how about the lizard? What's your lizard's name?
Ghost.
Ghost. Can I ask you what kind of lizard? Is there?
He's a
Just a lizard?
Yeah, I was just thinking gecko, but I forget what type of gecko.
Okay. All right. That's close enough. All right. Let's go to Kallie. Did we lose Eva here? Kallie, let's go with, do you have a favorite restaurant?
Oh, that's really hard.
Or one that you like to go to? If mom or dad or somebody says, hey, I'll take you wherever you want to go. Where are you going?
I don't know. I really like Cracker Barrel. Well, I actually work at Cracker Barrel. I work in like the retail store at Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
So I think that's just like a go-to for me. I mean, they got really good breakfast options and dinner, so I would say Cracker Barrel.
Okay. So I don't think you love that question. So I'm going to ask you another one.
Okay.
Now, this is the question that nobody wants to be asked. Okay. I don't know why, but it's unsettling for a lot of people.
Okay.
Favorite book?
That's hard too.
Or a book that you like, just a book that you enjoyed. I don't care if you read it last week or 10 years ago. Just tell us about one book that you liked.
I really like the Anna Green Gables series. It's just about like this orphan girl, and she just does a lot of mischievous things. She's a fun girl, and there's also movies, and I really like those movies too. So I would say the Anna Green Gables
Good.
series.
Okay, great. And the last question we're going to ask will be Alisha. And all right, here's a good one for Alisha. Celebrity crush. Do you have a celebrity crush? Or if you
have
don't want to
one.
give us a crush, a celebrity you like to hang out with, somebody you think that's cool, fun, you know, anybody along those lines? Not really? Okay.
No.
How about what's your any favorite actor or actresses?
I don't have any.
Okay, that's
I don't really
we got.
watch movies like that.
Look, I got plenty more just in case.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
You know what? I'm going to double up on the favorite meal. What's your favorite? What's your go-to meal? Let's say it's your birthday and somebody's going to cook you whatever you want. What are you going to ask them to cook you?
I'm gonna ask my dad to make me buffalo mac and cheese with T-bone steak.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That was
favorite meal.
you had that answer ready. Okay, good.
Love that thing.
All right, very good. Well done, keeping it light. You guys all did awesome. And the last thing we're going to do is shout out. So we'll start with Eva. Do you want to shout anybody out who may be watching or may not be?
I would shout out my coach and my teammates.
Coach Jen and your teammates, right?
Yep.
Okay. How about you, Kylie?
I want to shout out my club coach, Ben Moser. He's like one of my main support systems, and he's really cool.
Okay. And Kallie, shout outs.
I'm gonna shout out my dad, who was kind of the one who got me into wrestling and just has been with me on this journey with wrestling, taking me to matches, to different practices, lifting with me, and just, being the one person in my corner that I always can rely on.
Kind of that dad that everybody wishes they had, huh?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And how about you, Alisha? Got any shout outs for us?
Shout out to Chad Gallagher. Always great. Always living. Shout out to my dad. Also got me into this. So big shout outs there.
Great. Okay. Ladies, thank you very much. Once again, Camp Hills, Alisha Hidalgo, Mechanicsburg, Kallie Bauer, Eastern Lebanon counties, Kylee Trostle, and Central Dauphin East, Eva Cruz-Germain, girls wrestlers. I'm going to say this is much of a swear word. Bunch of badasses you guys are. I mean that. I just think it's a great sport. And I think it's a great sport for girls. And I was so excited 2 years ago when it wasn't a sanctioned sport that you guys had the opportunity for it to be one, and that it is one now. I mean, I'm a big supporter, and I think you guys are awesome. So best wishes in the postseason, and get some rest tonight. Get a meal in you if you haven't gotten one yet. Do some homework, and just keep being who you are. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to thank our sponsors one more time, and then we'll let you go. Rickabah's Electric, Payor Apparel, Ted's Bar and Grill, Freedom Financial Wealth Management, the Tire Mart, Team PA, AAU Basketball, Tonino's Pizza, Post 272, American Legion, Hoffman Ford, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Modern Imprint, Sam Hartley Decking, Crystal Bobbitt, Howard Hanna Real Estate, and Underdog Sports Bar and Grill. Thanks to those great local businesses for their continued support. So for Alisha, Kallie, Kylie, Eva, I'm Joe Gilloway, Lingelstown Gazette Sports. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Take care.